And we're on. First things first, thanks for taking a bit of time, Gav, to come and speak to us today. Really appreciate it. And I've got to ask, because I'm feeling it right now, but I've got huge FOMO about not being over joining everyone at OSG. So how big is your FOMO not going over there to defend your title?
Serious. Last night I was like on my Snapchat and Facebook, all the memories are coming through, and I'm like, oh, and then all the guys posting the videos of the arena and everything else, and like the car for the karaoke and stuff, and it's just bringing back memories from the year before as well. Like, so yeah, I just wish I was there, really.
I know that I'm the same. I've stopped looking on Instagram now because it's doing me head in that much. I'll give them all a good look, and then that's it. I'm sure you'll be watching, though, won't you?
I'll try my best anyway, because it starts on the Friday, so I'll be working Friday. But I'll tune in Saturday and Sunday, obviously, for the final.
Yeah, I think it was around 2-3 o'clock for us, I think.
Afternoon time, 3 p.m.
Yeah, I think it is for us. I'm sure I've seen like 2:45 for
As
us.
long as it's not something stupid in the early hours of the morning.
Yeah. I'm in work myself, like, so I'll just be trying to catch it or catch up on it.
I'm sure official strongman will be posting all the reels and everything else of how everyone's doing on it, like.
Yeah.
Scores.
I've already seen a few interviews and stuff like that, so there's another step that I think we didn't sort of do that much of last year.
Yeah. Joe's on top of it all this year. Joe Schofield.
Yeah, he is. Okay, so the first, what I do with all the guests is basically take them back to the start, to a point where you'd never done strongman. So just be interesting to know what did Gav do before strongman, and how did you find your way into the sport?
I've always kind of went to the gym, like been a regular gym goer from I was like 15, 16, maybe a bit younger. But the way I used to do it was just rest day every day. typical bro. But before that, I was playing the Irish sport, the hurling. It's like a mixture of like rugby and hockey. The wooden stick with the ball. You have to hit it
Yeah, I think I know what you
up
mean.
over the net and everything else. But when I started that, I started like when I was like 13, no, 12 maybe, 12, 13, and I'd only kind of got into it with all my friends in secondary school. And then within the first year, I was most improved. In the second year, then I was player of the year. And then I kind of just went to the county panel then, playing for my county. And I was one of the youngest then, playing for the county senior panel as well. Because normally you have to be like 18 when you go to it. I think I was on the senior panel when I was 16 or something like that. So it was pretty young. But there was the same with that as well. It was when you're doing on that kind of higher level in the hurling, like that's as high as you can go playing for your county. And the way it worked was you had your gym sessions as well. And obviously I was the youngest guy there out of everyone, and the gym sessions kind of kicked it off because everything was like flat dumbbell press and deadlifts, trap bar deadlifts and squats, and like I was pushing more weight than everyone else. So that's kind of when I knew I was pretty strong. And then I kind of fell out of the hurling then and just went full time into the gym. And then I had, do you know Mark Burke?
Yeah, I've heard the name. Yeah, I don't know him personally.
So we were training in the same gym, and he was doing all the strongman shows, and he was pushing certain weights for the under 80s, and then he was winning shows. But he wasn't 80 at the time, and I kind of thought to myself, I'd be able to push those weights if I really tried and stuff then. And then I actually contacted Mark then to coach me. And then one thing led to another. Then we were competing together and traveling the world then, doing different shows.
What was your first competition that you went for?
Well, my local gym, Dave Warner had came down one time. I think I was like 21. I didn't even know they were doing it until a few weeks before. I joined in. I was the youngest there again, smallest there. I think there was a yoke, car deadlift, log press. I think it was the first time I ever touched like a proper, was it like a 12-inch log? Typical me, zero the log. Was fairly decent on the deadlift and the yoke and the farmers. So I've kind of just took to them from the very start. But that was just a proper just off the street car park comp back then.
Yeah. You kind of known for your speed on yoke. Do you think that had something to do with like playing the sport you did before strongman, the speed?
Because even when I did play the hurling as well, it was between me and my friend. He was a few years older. We always went together, and we were probably two of the fastest on the team. But it was even when I played like football and stuff in secondary school and all. The way I played football was kick the ball past everyone and then beat everyone to the ball. It was it's just speed's always been my kind of thing, like. And I've been able to transfer it over to moving events then and strongman and stuff.
What would you say has been your hardest progression in strongman?
What do you mean, as in just like certain lifts or just?
Yeah, what have you struggled with? So you know how some things kind of flow quite easily and improve quite easily. What
Yeah,
have you
well,
really had to
everything's kind
graft
of just progressed really good, obviously, but my pressing, it's more the log. I still struggle with the log. I think it's just the whole kind of mechanics behind the dip and stuff. My body
at?
just
Yeah.
can't take to it at all. Or like compared to like a dumbbell, I could push about 100 kg dumbbell easy enough, but kg the log's just over my head.
Everyone always has like them one or two events, don't they, that they just struggle to get their head around, like
Yeah,
for
it's a
whatever
nightmare
reason, it
really.
just doesn't click. Say looking back at the athlete then, when you first started to the athlete now, where would you say has been your biggest progressions, even in terms of mindset or just the way
I
you
think
you
it's
live
just
your life?
more confidence as well because I'd done a show down in Galway, and it's like all the shows I started out doing was all novice and beginners, but I was always the smallest guy there or one of the smallest guys because the standard in Ireland, like there's like you've had like Britain's strongest man under 90 and 80 for years, and whenever I had started back in 2020 or whatever it was, there wasn't even an Ireland strongest man under 90 or 80 or anything like that. So all the shows I done was open weight, and then like I've always had like in the back of my head, it was always I'm gonna go up here and I'm going to be the smallest guy, and just like it's in my head that I'm the underdog right away. Basically thinking like everyone else would think, seeing me come in beside all the big guys, and but then over time, then as I've progressed and progressed as an athlete, and just having the circle I've had for the past few years, like all my training partners, like Sean Diver, Mark Burke, like we've all just kind of progressed together, all of us, and that's just that's made us all as athletes, really.
Do you struggle with any pressure or nerves or anything?
No, I don't. I'd be more cocky if anything. Like way at the start, it's one of those things. It was I'd done the World Ultimate Strongman Championships in Paris. I think it was 2 3 years ago, and it was like the first show I'd ever done outside of Ireland, and it was against Tyler Davies and Volker, a few other guys, and I came third there. But I felt like a big underdog there as well. I didn't know what to expect outside of Ireland and competing against like Americans and guys coming over that are known to be pretty good. And then I'd done good there, and then I had Worlds the same year, 2022, and I just thought all I really wanted to do was make top 10. But even at that, I got through with the online qualifier, but I didn't even make the top 10 on that. I was like 13th or something. But only the way it works is just next in line because there must have been like 3 or 4 guys that were in the top 10 that didn't actually follow through with their invite. So that's why I ended up getting to go. Uh, that's basically how it went.
I seen on one of your reels that you done night shift work. Is that still the case?
Nah, it's it was from Brits this year. That's when they were giving out redundancies just in the job in England I was at. So it was just the easy way out was take the redundancy and move back home then and focus on doing a bit of coaching as well on the side. So I'm just doing a regular 9 to 5 kind of job now. Well, 8 to 4.
Yeah,
Depends with the traveling.
because at the minute I do like shifts, days and nights. I've only done it from this year, and I noticed that doing nights just brings a whole new set of challenges. I feel to your training. So I just wanted to see how you dealt with your nights in terms of your training first, and then maybe speak about diet.
Well, the way it started was before I went to England first, I was working in a factory, and it was one week you would do normal day shift, and then the week after would be evenings, and then the week after that was night shift. So it was rotating all the time, and that's when I was fully on prep with like the best I ever dieted. That was the first time I broke the under 90 deadlift world record, and it was I don't know. I just had everything just like clockwork. Like I had the missus helping out as well with cooking meals and stuff like that, and just the way we were able to run everything so smoothly that I could go to work and then have all my meals ready, and then timing the gym sessions and stuff like that, and then like balancing the kids and all in between. But I was only doing that for like a year, and then when I went to England, then it was just full on night shift. But obviously, I'm working away from home, so like there was no pressure of like kids and like not to say kids on the way, but no trying to balance the kids and everything then. So it was like go to work, then back to the digs I was staying in. Soon I was up, eat, gym, and eat, and then go to work. So it was 14, 15 hour days when you're at work.
Yeah, it's something I found it quite difficult at first. Like I said, I've only done it since February, and then since then I've had England's and Europe's. But it's something I'd not done before with comp, so I had to adjust. I found the
Big
day after
adjustment as well.
nights is what, sorry.
So it's a big adjustment as well. Like it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
small. Like
No, no, and I found that the day after night, I just couldn't train heavy. Like my mind just wasn't on it, and I'd be a bit ratty with it, and so I had to adjust. And I was like, well, what can I do after nights? Because I only do 2 or 3 in a row, and then I have time off. So I changed it to cardio. So after nights, I'd done cardio and some grip work, or just accessory stuff that didn't tax me mind, or like big lift, compound lifts, or anything like that.
yeah,
How did you find with your eating then? I know you said you had your meals, but did you change your diet? Did you eat through the night, or did you try and? Because I try and keep mine. I'll have my last meal at 11, which is later than normal, but I then won't eat through the night to try and keep my diet, like my eating pattern, the same. So I only ever eat in the day, whether I'm on days, nights, or off. But my last meal on nights will be 11.
well, I would have always. By the time I got to my bed, it was always 7 a.m. And then by the time I get up then at 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. into the gym for 2, and then I'll be in the gym for 2 hours, and then I'm on the bus then to work at 5. But there was a place in the like a food place that they made the meals up for me. I think I got like 3 a day off them, and that came with all your macros and everything on it. Like I wasn't really tracking anything. I just kind of knew the way I was like doing it for so long. It's like when your body, like my body weight always stayed around 95, 96. Well, you like always knew that how much I was eating, if I was eating too much or too little. But I would have always ate. I would have had like a tea break at like 10 p.m. and then one at like 2 a.m. So I would have ate, and then sometimes I would have ate about 5 a.m. then whenever I finish the shift before I go to bed. Well, by the time I get back then to the digs to go straight to bed for 7. So I just kept my eating my meals like on my tea breaks, and then I'd have one before work and one after work. So I was always eating like 4 or 5 meals, give or take.
Yeah, it's kind of opposite to how I did it. I suppose that when I was on prep and losing weight, I didn't eat. Even when I got in from work, I wouldn't eat then until I got up around 1ish. That's when and then I'd try and eat just through the day like that.
Yeah.
And not eat at night. So it's just interesting to see how someone else did it, and you touched there that you said you roughly sit around 95. So do you find cuts down to 90 quite easy enough?
Yeah, I think the biggest cut I ever done was from 97. I've noticed like you've always cut from, well, you were cutting to 90 anyway beforehand, and then you were cutting from like 90 to 80. I couldn't do a 10 kilo cut. No way.
Yeah, I
Just
don't know how
that's a
you do it,
different
to be honest.
mindset altogether. That like
Yeah,
definitely
we
is.
always say it's the well, I think most people do, but the cut is like event one, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, that is the hard part. The competing is it's the easy part because it's fun and like it's once you're way done then and you've got the weekend of competing ahead, you're just on cloud nine then because it's just the whole weekend of doing what you love. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the best thing about it.
So, talk a little bit about OSG. We'll start at 2022. Was that your first OSG?
First OSG 2022, yeah. Done,
And what was your expectations going into that?
but obviously I done that one in Paris. It was I think that was October before that, and then OSG was mid-November. So I had already competed against the likes of Tyler Davis and a few other guys that were going to be there, Mike Ramirez. So I kind of knew he was one of the top. Tyler was one of the top guys anyway. And then obviously I've heard of because they had like a podcast going as well at the same time with like Nick O'Hare was on it and CJ Pierce and stuff, like a few big names. And obviously then they had mentioned my name from the Paris show, like with my moving events and stuff. But that's why I kind of heard tell of them guys then. So I was kind of looking into them and their Instagram and stuff. So I was on Instagram snooping around just to see who I'd be competing against and all the rest. And then obviously there was I don't even want to butcher his name. The guy that won, I think it was 2019, Australian, New Zealand,
Um,
Narime. Yeah, I knew he would have been there as well. He was like he looked phenomenal at the 2019. So I think obviously 2022 was like the first one after COVID. I think wasn't it, or there might have been
they
21.
had
No,
2021 as well, didn't they? They missed
Nick
2020 and done
Nikolai
2021.
Myers, he won that one. So I
Yeah,
knew
I
he
don't
would have been there
think.
as well. So it was kind of
Yeah,
it was the same as last year. The first goal is try and make top 10, and then worry about the rest after that. Because even back then, when I was competing, it was all the basics like your yoke and your farmers and your pressing. Like most gyms can't have them. The likes of the stones and the big dumbbells, and like I couldn't really get training on those. And even the bigger sand, well, we had sandbags. I knew some of the first two days the events were pretty good for me, so I knew I would have made well, I would have been pushing for the top 10. So that was kind of the mindset. Just have a good 2 days, and then what will be will be.
what did you think going into the third day? Was you after you'd had the 2 days, good 2 days? Did you think I could be on the podium?
It was crazy because from I think it was day two all the way through to the final, I think it was like 3 points were separating like the top 10 guys. So it was like two guys joined first with 100 points, and then third and fourth were half a point behind that. It was so I knew I just knew that I had to be well. I knew I had yoke, but back then I didn't realize that it would have been one of the best because obviously you had Nikolai Myers and stuff, and he was known for his yoke. And then with the car yoke as well was it's a game changer. But those I didn't know. I just knew yoke would have been good, and I knew I was good at stones. But you know yourself, the OSG stones, the diameter is a lot bigger, and the platforms are a bit higher, especially that last one. That last one's caught me twice now.
Not in the under 80s. They're not. They're a bit
Oh
lower.
well, yeah, they put them up this year, I think. Though
I've not paid as big a attention to it this year, to be honest.
I've seen something, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Who touching with because we've got the car back obviously this year. Who are you looking to sort of do well on the car yoke this year?
Well, I'm going to say just because he's actually beat me, he beat me at UK's under 90 was Mark Cummins, the Honey Badger,
Bad.
because he'll love a wee shout out anyway. But he'll do good. He can do a 400 kilo yoke all day long. Um, CJ Crowes would be good on the yoke. Dan Benson, Jake Allen, he's very good as well. Nikolai
Josh,
Myers, that'll probably be kind of top 5 in there.
Josh as well.
Philippe too, he's
Yeah,
savage.
I don't know him, but I've seen him a few comps, and he just like you just don't expect what you see from him.
Especially when you look at him when he's so young.
Yeah,
But I've seen him doing like a 400 kilo yoke and stuff too. So he's
I've seen him
Josh
in the
Lancaster.
classic. Yeah,
Don't know how I forgot about him. That's I mean, this it's a stacked lineup this year, and there's so many new faces. And you have John Hack as well, so he'll probably blitz with it like 360. Realistically, it's in the 90s now. It's not really heavy, like, because they had the Chaos Classic with, I think it was like 400. And a
yeah,
lot of guys
ridiculous.
finished, so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think it was wasn't it 4:10 maybe something like
Yes,
that.
yeah,
I think Josh got 8 seconds or something
that was
ridiculous
rapid.
like that.
That's what I mean, but it's the car yoke's going to be a lot more awkward on the guys, because any kind of sway at all just takes one tire to touch the floor, and then this is the pickups. It's a pretty narrow kind of yoke inside it as well.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously you come third that year.
Yeah.
What was your feeling about that being on the podium? How did that feel?
So it was the same as last year as well, because it was the points were so close, and it was the same. I think I had like the fastest 5, or I might have been top 5 in the 5 of the fastest 5 in stones, and it was the same again. I didn't know if I had won or not, or where I was placed. And then because Nick Myers finished the stones, he jumped from like 7th or 8th right up into 2nd. So that's how, like, if you done good on the stones, that's how much your points would have got boosted. Like, but it was just one of those things. I didn't think I was going to do that good, and then to get there and then do that good, and then, like, I wouldn't be an emotional kind of guy anyway. But it's always one of those things. It happens, and then it doesn't really kick in until I'm like, when I get back home into Ireland and I've got the trophy, and I'm like, oh, I'm the third in the world, or the same as last year, I'm the best in the world. So it's just one of those things.
It's crazy with the like stones and that, isn't it? And the final, because I've watched like quite a few now, and I think it was when I was watching with when Tyler Davis won it. I feel like he was like 7th or 5th or something, and it kind of depended on other people what they did,
Who gets in
and then
between and stuff?
yeah, and then all of a sudden, bang, he's on top. And Tommy said it on his podcast when he was against Ricky. It depended on how Heinous did, I think, to get between him, and if it was just Ricky and Tommy, then Tommy was quicker. But because what Ricky did, it meant that, and it's just weird how it.
Like, you only had to get like 5 then out of the 6 or whatever.
Yeah,
But that's how it works
yeah,
with the stones as well. It's like you can't tell how fast you're going, if you know what I mean. And then you have to kind
yeah,
of go 100 miles an hour, and then that's when the mistakes happen. So you have to go fast, but fast enough that you don't make mistakes. Where it's different if you go out, and especially when you're sitting. Like, if I was in first place going into the last event, that means I'm last out. So if it was like a deadlift, like, you know then how many reps you need to do to win, which is, rather than having a set time and then you've got 6 stones to throw up, it's a bit, you just have to go all out then, put on a show just to finish off it.
yeah. So after that performance, then what did you identify as sort of areas of improvement for yourself?
Pressing, it's always been pressing, but even the dumbbell as well, because I was close to getting the last dumbbell that year, but the only thing, I think I had a few event wins that year as well. I won the farmers on the yoke. I was top of the pack on deadlift, top of the pack on stones, and then there was sandbag the shoulder. Actually, I remember then I had sandbag the shoulder after that. It was like an open weight show in Ireland, and I was able to do. I was doing runs that I couldn't do. Like, say the run for I done a Worlds. Like, I was doing that a few months later with ease. And another way you'd be like, oh, if only I could do that like so many months ago at Worlds. it would have been a different scenario. But I went on to do a lot of sandbag work because all the shows I was doing, it's like I was going on to do Ireland's Strongest Man open weight, and then there was like the Cerberus Cup. I think it was Strom Cup that year, and it was open weight as well. So all the shows I was doing in Ireland were all open weight, where the sandbags were bigger, logs were bigger deadlifts. So I was just focusing on all those bigger lifts like that, and just knuckling down on those. I don't know how many times I've tried, like changed up. Like I would do log, and I'd be like, leg drive isn't working, so we'll stick to strict press, and then we kind of found out that I was able to do a bit of leg drive, and then it just went out the window again, and then ended up zeroing again then. So it's log's just always been my kryptonite really, but everything else.
After you've had like a comp, are you able to go straight back in 100%, or do you have a bit of a lull and a bit of a struggle to get back to it?
It just depends. Even that year I done, I think it might have been the year 2023, or maybe 2022 and 2023 were my biggest years. Like in competing, because I think it was like Josh Lancaster and stuff were doing it now, and Mark Cummins. I was doing over 10 comps in a year, and some comps were always, like it's the same now in February coming. I've got like Ulster Strongest Man. It's an open weight show, and then I've got Ireland's Strongest Man under 120 the week after. So it's a lot of shows have been a week apart, and then it's either way. It's as soon as I do a show, and if I don't have one right away after, I'd always have something else lined up. But if it's not for a few weeks away, I would always have a few days rest just to kind of come round to myself and have a bit of a recovery and stuff, and then it's just straight back in. Because it's the way it is now. Is after I'd injured myself, I was just laying around and I didn't want to train, and I had nothing to train for. So that was all the more reason not to train or not to watch what I was eating. So then I was starting to put on unwanted weight, and then I was just getting fed up laying around and being lazy, and then I just bit the bullet then because my foot was feeling good. So the first thing I had to do was enter a competition, and then it's just like all systems go again. So that's the way I always have it, is have a show lined up so I can't fall off the wagon, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's kind of a little bit how I've been. I was going to after Europe, I was kind of, I don't want to say retire like it's my career, but you know what I mean. I was thinking, okay, maybe I can step down now. I've done what I wanted to, and there's other stuff I want to do in my life, and like I'm 40 next year, and I was like, I'm feeling it. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, okay, ready to do something else now. I'd like faffed about with Spanish for ages, and I was like, I really want to learn it, and I faffed about on the saxophone, and I was like, I want to get good at that now. And then 2.5 months of sort of doing hypertrophy bodybuilding type training, I'm lost. I'm just walking around thinking I'm lost. Like so far, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to stop yet. But I feel now I'd missed 2.5 months worth of
progress.
Yeah.
Really?
So it's been hard to sort of get into it again, and I've been getting little niggles and stuff like that. So I've always struggled to come straight back after comps, but I seem to be back there when it counts. It's just a reason why I don't end up doing. I think the most I've done in a year is 7. I think,
yeah.
But that was like before I started doing the bigger comps. Like now it's like 2 or 3, just because it's
weight cuts and stuff
kills me. Yeah, the cuts really kill me. Like after that one in August, I'd weighed in at 9.6. 14 days later, I was 96 kg. And that's just like going on holiday straight away after. And yeah.
That's a huge cut then, just to get down to where you want to be to start your water cut then as well. So that's, yeah. I don't know, that's the weight I would normally set at, the cut to 90. That's madness.
I'm back down to like 91 now, but my progress for next year now is taking on a nutritionist to keep me in check and bring me down
Accountability,
to
just isn't it?
like, yeah, bring me down to like, maybe I'd like to set at 88 or something like that. And I spoke to like Chris Harper and stuff, and because he's like another bigger athlete, same as Dean as well,
Yeah.
another bigger athlete that comes down, and
I
they
think
seem to
Dean's
do.
a bit like myself. He always sits around 96, 97. But I think he's kind of the same as what I was. I don't think he really tracks his food so much. It's just where he knows
Yeah,
like what's enough eating in his day and stuff like.
yeah. I find like I just don't know when to sort of come out the deficit sometimes, to for performance. Like when you're in the gym, like I'll deficit, and I'm like, at some point I feel like I need to just blip out of this to
Yeah,
get me energy, but that's where I lack the knowledge, I suppose, and I suppose that's why you pay for a nutritionist. And
just up your game
have
as
you
well.
never had a nutritionist, or are you happy yourself?
I had one back because I think it was COVID, and I was sitting at like 106 kg, and eventually then with training and everything else, I got down to 93, but I looked like shit. And then actually I got the nutritionist then, and it was I think I have like a before and after on Instagram. It was me at 93 looking terrible, and then I think it was like 6 months later under like proper nutrition for 6 months, and I was absolutely shredded, and I was just didn't look like the same person. It
So
was
would you
crazy.
say if it's available and you can afford it, then you'd recommend?
Well, yeah, the way I am now, I kind of know how my body is, and then I've done so many weight cuts and everything else. When you're doing it that long, you know yourself. But obviously, with you doing like massive cuts, like you'd be better off with the nutritionist just to keep on top. And then it's kind of one of those. It's not even just like having a nutritionist as well. It's to kind of help you is say if you're just ready, like you're in the middle of like a weight cut and you're just ready to pull a plug, and they kind of talk you into it, keep at it, and everything else, and gauge you along the way, and they go through it with you.
Yeah, that my missus is the best for that. To be honest, like I couldn't have done these cuts without her. I don't know if you have.
No,
You said you had the
I've
same.
been
She
the
come out.
same.
Yeah, I've gone to pull out at 80.9 kilograms, and I was going to pull the plug because I'd done like an hour and a half worth of sweating in the sweatsuit, in the bath, in the sweatsuit. Point one come off, and I was about to pull the plug, and I was like, "That's it!" Throwing all my toys out the pram. That's it. I'm not doing it. Not doing it. And she kind of will bring me back down to earth and be like, "You've got point 0.8 of a kilogram to lose now. Like you can't give up at this stage." And
Yeah,
she
and you've
pretty
dropped
much
like
like,
8, 9
yeah.
kilo already.
Yeah, yeah. I've been like going through the night. It's like 6 a.m., 7 a.m., a few hours from weighing, and I'm ready to just start munching on donuts and that. And she brings me
Because I,
back down
I
to,
always just done it where I'd always leave myself like a few days loading, and then once the water kind of comes off, I'd always be sitting around 93 or 90, say 93 or just over, and then I would do like 10 minutes in the bath, 5 out, 10 in. That normally takes a good kilo off me. I'd always be sitting around 91 then before I go to bed, and I would always lose that last kilo overnight, and so it's always really easy cuts, like, which
mine,
I'm
like, it
thankful.
kind of comes off fast at first, like everyone, but
Nah,
then it just slows down
that's
really
me. That's
fast.
once you've got 7, 8 kilo already off you, like there's not much left to come out. Then like it's gonna be really slow.
Yeah, it's like really wringing the towel out, and I can't help but like taking on a little bit of fluids. I think you've got to. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you're not meant to have any fluids because obviously what goes in has to come back out, but
Yeah,
it like just takes away the edge a little bit sometimes.
because you'd be so dry and so hot, and
Yeah,
all you want to do is just sink like a liter of ice cold water, just
yeah,
when you're lying in
yeah,
a
and then
hot
you're
bath.
regretting the few drops that you didn't have in the when you was allowed to drink, and you're like, why didn't I just finish that like last little dreg of that bottle yesterday? Yeah, it's hardcore. So before we move on to going into 2023, I'll just split it up with 2 questions that I ask every guest. And the first one is your top 3 athletes that you've ever competed with.
The list is huge, just for the fact that like it's not all being. We just keep it to like under 90s rather than
Your
open weight and
top
all the
3 you've
rest.
ever competed with.
Yeah, we'll just stick with the 90s. We've got the guy I've been chasing to beat for years and years. I think it was 2022 was the first time I did ever beat Dan Benson. And then I think he got me then. He wasn't at Worlds last year. And then he got me at Brits this year. But
He's at
Dan,
Worlds this year, isn't he?
yeah, he's
Yeah.
there this year.
How do you think he's going to do?
It's a hard one because obviously he's going to do good on deadlift. I think he's been struggling with the log press, where there's guys there that have been hitting 140 for reps easy. Then you've got like Jake Allen hitting 160. That man just went from strength to strength.
Yeah.
I know Dan hasn't always been known for like sandbag, like sandbag moving events or even throw bags. He's good at a throw bag, but I think it's more so the throw bag run, and then with stones. But obviously he'll be well up there. But I don't think he'll be beating the likes of Derek on the throw bags or Jake Allen on the sandbag and the sled, or Derek on the stones and stuff like that. Even like Jake's he's looking solid on everything. Like
Yeah, he just pipped down at Europe's, didn't
at
he?
Europe's, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd wish then I went to that Europe's as well when I'd injured myself. And the only
It,
pressing event I'm good at is dumbbell, and then everything else was pretty good for me. But Dan Benson, we'll put John Hack in there as well, because obviously I was competing against him at the Chaos Classic in 2023, just for the deadlift as well. Like every man in the deadlift suit, and that's the only reason a few of us matched him on the deadlift. But even just the way he was manhandling, the speed of that man as well, he's really fast. Who else have we? Jake Allen. Because obviously at Brits this year he was hot on the heels because he was speed, his grip, his deadlifts came on really good too. He's brilliant at sandbags, brilliant at stones. Derek Owens, he's another really good athlete. That's the kind of guys I'd be more would say that are really good, that are like guys that go out and they're able to win lots of events in the one show, rather than being like kind of top 5 across the board or give or take. Those are the kind of guys that everyone like remembers and know are most impressive and stuff like.
yeah, Derek Owens just managed to jump onto sandbags last year, didn't he? At Worlds, he's like, it was in the 11th.
Yeah, they kind of done him dirty the way it ended up, but I was never as glad then just to see him come out and just smashing those last 3 events. Like,
Yeah.
we won
So,
2.
and the other question is, what annoys you in the sport? What grips your shit?
I never really get too annoyed at comps or anything. It's just sometimes the way some people just take it too serious. If you know what I mean, they take it too serious, and then just the way they would pull up at shows and stuff. Then and they're just like in their own little bubble. Like every comp I go to, like you talk to everyone and know everyone's there. Everyone's on the same page, especially if everyone's just been through weight cuts and stuff, and like you want to lift everyone's spirits in after all that. Not having guys coming in and just their face will just put you in a bad mood just the way they are. But nah, nothing. Everything's no real pet hits in the sport or anything like that.
Yeah.
If there was, that would be kind of it.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go into 2023. So where did your season start in 2023? What comps did you do last year?
It started the week after Worlds 2022.
Yeah.
I had a deadlift world record attempt the week after Worlds. So that was another thing. I had a show lined up right away. So it was like 2 weight cuts. So I'd set the under 90 deadlift world record there.
What was that? What was that weight? Right.
And actually had a strict press log of like 130, which was probably one of my best log presses. Um, and then I think, I have a mountain of trophies out there. There was I think it was the Strom Cup. Was the first one of the year, like around February time, or it might have been 2022. But that was open weight, and I think it was Matthew McKeegan who won that. Sean Dover came second, and I came third. And then there was Ireland's strongest man under 120 in there. I came second at that.
Did you not feel any pressure going into that year with obviously expectation because of how well you'd just done?
Most of the shows were in Ireland. I had the qualifiers for Ireland's strongest man open weight, and there was like 16, 17 guys. And I think it was Matthew McKeegan as well won that, and I came second. And we were both the smallest there. There was guys there like 6 foot odd, 150 kg. That was really early on in the year. But obviously we had Glenn Ross then and stuff. The way they kind of done it in some of the shows then was like, oh, we've got the world's strongest man, or like a podium finisher at Worlds 2022 and stuff. And that's kind of how it went then at some shows then when you're getting like introduced and stuff. And like it was kind of the start of, I was being put on a lot of posters and stuff then for shows as well. So it was kind of, at the same time, it was just like a lot of confidence boost as well. Just in my head, going up like a balloon. But it was really good as well. It's nice to see all that kind of stuff. Getting noticed for once, if you know what I mean. And then I think I had like sponsorship and stuff then with Strength Shop and Strom and stuff. So kind of one thing led to another then in 2023. Loads of big shows and stuff.
What was so going into the OSG? How was the prep for it? Was you confident of another top three? And
because it was the first event was the press medley, and it was the barbell, and I think ours was a 120 barbell, and I think it was the whole prep. I was having real problems with my wrist, and that was the only thing. Was all I wanted to do was get the barbell up. Excuse me. Only even just the empty barbell in the warm up area, I couldn't even just get the barbell up. The wrist was really bad. But obviously at Worlds they have all the guys out the back, the physios and chiropractors and stuff. And I was out there for about half an hour, 45 minutes, and the guy out there, there was loads of knots and stuff in my forearm, and that was causing all the pain. And he had sorted me out, got rid of all the knots and a few little drills, and straight out then I think I'd done like a 130 or something then, clean and press on the barbell, like as the warm up. I was like, nice one, my wrist is working, so it's not going to be a complete zero. And if it had been, I probably wouldn't have made the top 10 then.
I was really fortunate. I visited him myself for me hand off the frame. I'd ripped all my calluses off.
I think a lot of guys were on that boat.
Yeah, so I was like, again, I was throwing my toys out the pram, saying, how the hell am I meant, because my plan the next day was quick deadlifts, mixed grip. I was like, how the hell am I going to do this now? I was like, throwing my toys out the pram, and went and visited one of them guys, and he packed his up, done a practice deadlift, couldn't feel it, and I was amazed at how good they could do. Like
those bars as well, they were all brand new. Like it was like razor wire in your hand. Like
yeah. So how did you do on the press on that first event after them fixing you up?
Because my dumbbell was going really good as well, but barbell went up really easy, and then the dumbbell I went out of line just on the pop off the shoulder, so I had to redo the dumbbell. But that's all I was expecting anyway, was first two if I was able. So that was the first event, first two implements. Just
luckily enough, I suppose a lot of people got caught out on the yoke.
On the yoke, so it was like a godsend then. Like it was like meant to be then for me, I think. Because a lot of guys, I think it was probably half the board that was a fast two. So it all came down to how fast. It was one of those things. It was, if I got the dumbbell on my first try, and not in the second, the points would have went a different way again. But obviously then we had that. What was after? It was the frame carry then.
Yeah, I seen you. That's on a reel on your profile, isn't it? You obviously absolutely blitzed that.
That's it was. I was kind of middle of the pack with the press, so and then everyone was filming the frame, and it was even like the night of the weigh-in. No, we all went back for the athlete meeting, and I was. Well, you could go back and get a feel of the frame and stuff, and it was only like half the frame. It didn't have the. No, it came in like two parts.
Yeah.
I picked it up and I was like, I was struggling. I was like, this is pretty heavy. And then I was playing around with the, like the Atlas stone sandbags and the Husafels and stuff, and everything just felt so heavy. And I thought to myself, like that just put like just knocked my confidence right away. Especially when I was seeing everyone kind of feeling the frame as well coming out before me. So I didn't know how it was going to go.
Yeah, that was. I've never been able to watch my video back on that frame because it destroyed me as well. Like, it was
Yeah,
all down to me refeed. That just first time cut into under 80 and just totally shot me.
that's what they say, isn't it? It's something to do with the grip. The grip goes after like a big cut, and then it's all down to how you refeed and stuff. Then
Yeah, I just wasn't prepared. I was gutted that was my first time going to under 80 because like I'd obviously made the weight and then I just ruined my whole competition and I didn't
just
even
from
know
that,
it. And I didn't even know it and I ruined my hands are like sausages. So I remember again in the warm up room trying to pick it up and I was like, same as you, thinking, shit, that's
it
heavy.
is.
And then I just thought I'll just deal with it when I'm out there. So normally I'd put some wrist wraps on to close the grip a little bit.
Yeah,
And I remember doing that and then not being able to feel my hands. It was a weird sensation. And then when I picked it up, I couldn't feel my hands. And then all of a sudden it was on the floor. And every time I went to pick it up again, I couldn't feel my hands. I can't even watch the video back. Like it's
like butterfingers kind of. Then
I just couldn't
that's
feel
the
my
way I
hands.
was as
Yeah.
well with the Chaos Classic. I was doing the farmers because obviously it was the farmers coming up, and I was doing it was 135 each hand, and I was doing like 160 in training, and then obviously it was my go-to event. And as I came out, then I started off really fast, and then my grip just went, ripped the hands off me as well. I dropped it about must have been 10 times. I ended up I finished the run, but it was the same with John Hack, like a 400 odd kilo deadlifter. Like he was struggling as well with the farmers as well, like grip wise. But I think there was only one guy that had finished without a drop before the line. Like, but that was the same kind of thing. It must have been down to my weight cut just and the refeed and everything. Then
Yeah, the mad thing is you don't even realise that you're ruining that event
yeah,
when you're having your refeed, do you? That it's kind of what done my head in it. I've never been a kind of big excuse person, but that was the reason that
yeah,
I knackered that competition. What annoyed me was I thought if I couldn't do it, then I don't mind that. Do you know what I mean? If it was too heavy for me or was slow, I don't mind that because that's a performance. That's my prep. I'm not good enough.
you
The
can
fact
go
that I
away
just
and
ate,
train,
yeah, the fact that I just ate shite and that messed it up I think
especially
that's why it's
day one and everything as well. Like if you had have been like if it had have been like the final day where
yeah,
you got to do all the other events and no do good on those and how you normally would, and then
yeah,
you didn't
it
even get
is.
to test yourself on those then, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I have to apologise to anyone that's listened to the other podcast now because everyone I've spoke to so far, we've obviously covered OSG, and I think I've told this like so people must have listened to me say this about a million times now, but I don't care. But yeah, like that proper hampered the rest of the comp then because I got the yoke, you see, on the first event. So there was only 8 people in the 80s that got the yoke. So I had big points off that first event. And then I come 37th in the second event, which obviously threw me
Upside
down the
down kind of
table.
thing.
Yeah, and then, yeah, just deadlifts, I was like, I think I was better than average in the pack, and then the last one, I was the daft bastard that fell over before the line. Because quite a few people did that as
A
well.
lot
I
of guys.
smashed it as well. I felt I was really quick, and then I fell literally. I fell on the line, but you had to pull
The
the
frame
sled
over
over
the
the
sled.
line. Yeah, so yeah, it was quite a disappointing. That's why I really wanted to go back. I think this year to right a few wrongs because I feel like since then I've done 2 more cuts. I've been really conscious because I've had farmers in the comp, so I was really conscious of how my refeed went, and I didn't
I doing it
blather it.
properly.
Yeah, I just ate proper food, and I wasn't as heavy going into that day one, and it's been fine.
Yeah.
Just a bit gutted, and I wanted to go and right the wrongs, but maybe next year. And next year, I'd actually have the choice if I wanted to do masters, but
Masters as well.
I think I'd stick with the 80s because I feel like that's
Is
where
the
it's
Masters,
at.
is it the same weights as the 105s or the 90s?
Well, they've brought in a masters lightweights, haven't they?
All right.
So the lightweight is, I think, under 105 masters, which is the same weight as the 90s,
Right.
I think.
So that wouldn't be
Yeah.
so bad then.
No. It's still a step up. I feel like as a 90 athlete, when I competed as a 90 athlete, I was okay nationally. Obviously, I won England's Strongest Man, but I
Yeah.
don't think I was good enough internationally. I don't think, I don't think I would have cut the mustard as an international athlete.
So
Moving down to,
it's all down to the events at shows and stuff as well, and where the shows are and everything. Like, because a lot of like when it say if there's stones or something, like a lot of the guys from like Finland and the like Czech Republic and stuff, they're all like really good at stones,
yeah,
and that's the way they do the ultimate shows, like stone to shoulder and everything like that. Where I'm absolutely terrible. That's what they had in the one in Paris, like, and it was I had to go for the lighter stone, couldn't get the heavier one, like. But the Tyler Davies and stuff, they were really good at it.
yeah. I've seen he's good at the sandbag as well, sandbag to shoulder.
Yeah.
So we'll move on now to a few more events because we've just started. I just started taking over the podcast then and making it about yourself. So going into day 2 then for you, it was obviously your thing and the first event 1 of day 2.
The deadlift, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you know that you was going to be pretty much up there with that as one of the fastest times?
Yeah, because I think what was it, the fourth bar was 320, and in training, like I was hitting 320 just for reps, running back in it, like back and forth on it with the mixed grip, but the way I was running through those bars, I done the first 3, and like I don't know if you noticed, like the bars were just really sharp, and I was like, I don't think I'll get the fourth bar without the straps. And then as I look back now, it's the figure eights that like slowed me down a lot. Where a lot of guys had just normal straps and they like cut them down to size, so it was just a quick flick around. But obviously that's part of the game. Like you learn on at the job really and watch what everyone else is doing as well. But I knew all day long I was going to get the all 5 bars. It was just down to who else was going to get them as well, because I knew there was a lot of big deadlifters like.
Yeah, don't you think it's crazy? Because obviously deadlift ladder features, well, pretty much in most OSGs, doesn't it? Like the
Europe's and all
standard
that.
every year goes is crazy. Like I've monitored the 80s OSGs, and I think 4 years ago or something like that, the last bar was 285 or something, or maybe was it 2021, 2022? It was 301 was the last bar, and now it was 320, which is quite a big jump.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy, the standard.
It's even with the deadlift this year. Well, initially they kind of messed it up because it was the same weights from 2022. Like you couldn't wear a suit back then or briefs, and this year they were doing the same weight, but you could wear a suit, which is kind of going backwards. But then obviously they brought in the Trump weight then, and that's kind of a go-to now with the Trump weight stick. But it kind of separates the packs and separates the men from the boys, and it's a lot more exciting to watch as well. Having like guys lifting like I think there's like a 40 kg difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
280 to 320. So it's going to be good to
So,
see who's pulling the big reps.
yeah, yeah, it will. So when you was going into the third day, then was your mind on the top spot then?
Yeah, because I've got a post up there. There was I think I had like a 4 point lead, but at the same time I'd only trained stones maybe twice, two, three times. The same with the throwing bags. And what else was there? What else was on day three?
It was sandbags and stones, wasn't it? Just
Just the
two
two.
events. Yeah,
I feel like it was three the year before. But yeah, it was just
yeah,
those. That was the two events that I didn't really get training as good as I wanted to get training them. But at the same time, I knew with the press that I was with my wrist and stuff that I needed to train the other three events to just to like solidify, make getting myself into the top 10 for the final day. So that's why I done. I think that's why I done so good on those three events because I really drilled them. But going in then the third day, I was at a 4 point lead, and I knew I was fairly good on those events anyway without really having to train them. So I kind of knew. I put a post up that night of the day two. I was like, I am the world's strongest man. Like I had it in my head and wrote it down. And there was the lady at the hotel we were staying at. So it was like the third day that we're the day of the final. We were going for breakfast, and Dean McVie and stuff were there. And I think they had wrote out like who they were and what they've done. Say he was like Britain's strongest man and stuff on the radio. I think she wanted them to write that on like a napkin. So I had wrote down then Gav McNamee, Ireland's strongest man under 90, and then underneath that, world's strongest man under 90, 2023. And this was like the morning of the show. So it was just kind of in my head that whole day then that I was going to win. So that was
that's
kind of
some beans.
mindset. It's
That.
one of those things as well. Like if you don't believe it, it's not going to happen. Like, or you're not going to
Yeah,
put on a performance. Like,
yeah. It's a tough one, isn't it? Really. I like that. I don't know how confident I would be myself to do that in case I jinx it.
I wouldn't have put that up otherwise. I only put that up because I did one. But you wouldn't even. I wouldn't be telling anybody. If
I know the feeling though, and I don't often get it. And again, I'm probably boring people with this, but I knew on that Europes that we just had in August, on the last event, that medley that I had, I felt something inside me that I had this. Like I think I was like currently third, but I knew I could get second. And obviously Chris Harper was like away, so there was
yeah,
no
he was.
chance. But some reason, something inside me told me that I was gonna beat everyone else and I was gonna get it. And I don't know what it was, and I never normally get it. I'm not really that confident in myself all the time. But when you know, you just know, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. It's a
And
good feeling as well.
yeah. And the question I've asked to the two other world champions that I've had on here is, how did it feel to win World's Strongest Man?
So it was like just one of those things. It was getting in the strongman. It was never a realistic goal. If you like, it didn't feel like it was. Like I always wanted to be like my initial goal to start was breaking like an Irish deadlift record, um, and then obviously getting to compete outside of the country. It was never win worlds until I went in 2022, and then going into 2023. Then like I knew it was like after the performance of 2022, and with a good prep and better events for me, I knew that it was going to be realistic. And then when I did do it, even in the video, Joe was over and I'd spat my mouthpiece out on Ben Joyce's hand, and he's like, "How's it feel winning World's Strongest Man?" And I was like, "Did I win? Did I win?" It was just like so unbelievable. Like I didn't know what to say, or I still don't. If you know what I mean. I'm just not
Did it
like
take
an out there person who would really be.
did it take a long time to sink in?
Yeah, oh, it definitely did. Because when I got home, then it was my mum and stuff had they had the keys in my house, so they had the house all like decorated then with like balloon weights and stuff and congratulations and stuff. And then I'm like, oh, that's right, I won Worlds. Well, that's like I just forget again.
Would you say it's changed your life in any way? Like, obviously for lightweights, it's a little bit different, isn't it? Unfortunately for us,
Yeah.
we don't get the same exposure as the big boys. But would you say it changed your life in any way?
To me, in a way, it's just the same as doing another comp, really. Like it's just a title that you have then that to say that you are the best in the world at something. But it's not like you're not going to have someone knocking on the door then to offer you like a lifetime, like a life changing like sponsorship or anything like that, or something that's going to be life changing. If you know what I mean. To me, it's just like another competition, just another trophy, just really. Unless you are the big guys and you're winning a life changing sum of money to do something like. Because even with the prize money there, the prize money I got was it's just the same as what you spend to get there. Like it's just a pity that you have to win to kind of get your money back.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be a big time hobby to you, and fair play to some of the guys that you see turn up every single year.
Yeah, so that's what I don't miss this year is paying out the money and torturing people for sponsorships and stuff like that to get me there.
So is that the reason why you're not there this year?
It was just after the injury at Brits. I was out for that long, and then I was supposed to have Ulster Strongest Man last weekend, and then it was cancelled with the weather. Even that was like I was going into that confident, but I'm still nowhere near at my best. If you know what I mean. Like my best now on a deadlift is just 300 for a single, where normally I could probably take it. I was doing like 280 on an axle for 10 reps, like. So I'm still a long way off my best, but pressing wise, I'm well up there. But I was doing 120 farmers on last night. It felt so heavy and I felt so slow, so I've a long way to go. So I'm hoping to be there next year, and then it's one of those things as well. Like with sponsors, it's especially after 2022, it's people seeing that I went and I've got on podium, and then they're like, it'd be a good contender like to actually win this year. That they'll actually put a bit of money into you to help you get there. Where otherwise, if you're not got a real name for yourself, like it's a lot of people would be like, I wouldn't really. Well, there's no point really if he's not going to do good, or that's just the way some people think. Like,
Well, I find it quite mad when I speak about strongman to people that aren't into strongman. What are people's reactions like when you say you're world's strongest man?
because obviously, like I work on building sites, and a lot of the time you're just bouncing around from building job to job all around, and even my boss and stuff like they'd be like, "That's the world's strongest man there," and they would just laugh and be like, "Nah, all right then." They'd be like, "It really is," and then I feel embarrassed sometimes because you have to like pull out the phone and be like, "There's the proof, like, no, the trophy and the title, everything on Instagram." But it's one of those things as well. It's unless you're a strong man and on Instagram, that's the only way you're going to kind of know. Because
Yeah,
outside of that, and then if you don't actually know who I am, you're not really going to know.
yeah, I find it quite funny sometimes, and I get a little bit embarrassed, like saying anything as
Uh,
well. I have it in work actually, because you find some people quite proud of you, aren't they? And you want to tell everyone. And I had it in work, and this fella says to this woman, I think she's in her 60s, you know, and he goes, "Oh, you might have seen him on the. They have like a workplace. It's a bit like Facebook, but for our work.
yeah.
You might have seen this lad on workplace winning England's strongest man and that." And she looked me up and down. She just went, "You don't look very strong." It's like
I get it
it's
all
just
the
like
time. It's you just kind of put on the back foot. Then you don't know what to like come
yeah, I
back.
know you don't know what to say to it. You're like, yeah, you're just trying to make a
You're just
joke out of it, like an awkward joke, and move on, and then
head down
saying to me,
and
mate,
walk away.
yeah, saying to me, mate, stop telling everyone. But
Well, I get it
yeah,
all the time.
So just a couple of more questions now. What are your expectations for 2025? What are you looking at doing?
The initial goal was to. I've got three competitions lined up for February and March, but the main goal is just to kind of stay in Ireland most of the year and just like try and help build the sport in Ireland because it's really progressing and going places. Getting mixing myself in with the more open weight shows because I want to get into Ireland's Strongest Man, the ultimate one. Because if you do good there, I think it's like top three go through to like UKs, and then obviously they're like live now on like Channel 5 and stuff like that. So it's just mixing with the big boys and getting stronger all round and kind of getting the name out there more.
And for OSG this year, who are the think? I don't really like asking for predictions and that, but who are you going to say? Who are the men up there? Who's going to take your title?
It's hard to tell because I've been watching Jake Allen's the guy that's been after winning Europe's and like all his training videos. Like he's been really impressive. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see a weak event there for him. Um, so I could say he could easily win. He'll be well up there. Derek Owens is gonna like he's. I can only imagine that he'll win the throw bags and stones, and he'll be well up on the log. And then his deadlift's fairly good. It'll be interesting to see how John Hack does. I think he'll do really good. And we have CJ Krause and obviously Dan Benson. I think those five. There could be 10 guys that could win easy. Because you got that, like, Philippe as well. He's a savage log presser. He's really good with a yoke. His deadlifts come on loads. And he's good at throw bags, good at stone. So that's 6 names. And then you have Victor Lingman. He's doing really good. Andrew Haynes. I think I had it up. It was the top 10 from last year. And then obviously now you've got Jake Allen, John Hack, CJ Crowd. There's one other guy. It's going to be between all those 14, 15 guys that are going to be. Any one of them can win.
Oh, who else? Like, who's obviously my coach, but what you get with Josh Lancaster sometimes,
Josh.
like at the Chaos Classic, and I was just like, fucking hell, like, he just
Like,
smashed
he
everything.
came
Like,
second, didn't he?
yeah.
That's, I mean, there's just so many good guys that it's hard to say because he's gonna smoke the yoke.
Yeah.
He'll do good on the log. I think his deadlifts. He'll just play that tactically how he does. He'll probably drop a few points, but even at that, he'll probably if he gets one on the trump weight, that's still gonna be good points. And he's flying. I think his throw bag is probably not like up with a lot of the guys, but that's what I mean. You're always gonna have those five guys that are unreal on each, not every event, but on those separate events. So it's just down to who can be the top five in every event. That's who's going to be on that podium. Like,
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Same with the 80s, to be honest. Like, if I got asked that, I'd be like you. I could pretty much name 10, 15 guys that any one of them could be
yeah. So that's I mean.
around. Like,
I really want to see Chris Harper take it, just for the fact that if he does, it's going to be like a back to back under 81.
yeah. And also, he's obviously struggled lately, hasn't he, with his MS and his training.
MS
So
is starting to kind of catch up on him now. But even at that, he's still. I was talking to him already, and I said it's going to be all down to on the day. It's whenever the adrenaline kicks in, and you know you are good. And once everything kicks in, and once the whistle goes, you're just going to do what you always do, and you will smash the events. And then obviously you've got Tommy Lavelle. He'll mix things up now coming in, and is it Josh? Um, obviously I want to see Dean McPhee do really good as well.
yeah.
A few other underrated too, like all those.
Molnar, Rick, I like Rick as well.
Yeah,
I mean, Rick
like
started at
he's
the
gonna
same time.
his deadlift's gonna be savage.
Yeah, I think one thing with Rick is he's got one event in the bag at least. So there's one event in the first 2 days that you've won.
Yeah,
pretty much, unless something drastic happens.
I've seen he's hitting the 140 log and stuff there, so
Yeah,
It should
that's
do
really
fairly well on the
impressed.
log.
That used to Rick's overhead used to be his weakness, but he has now
He's
brought that
well
up to
up there, yeah.
scratch now.
Because
Yeah.
is the world record not like 140?
Chris has got it, hasn't he? 146 or 147, something like that. I'm
So
sure it's Chris that's got it.
he's well up there then. So
Yeah,
yeah, that'll be
yeah.
interesting to see how that folds out.
So mate, like Finley as well. Finley, the most like, I don't want to say erratic, but if he makes no mistakes,
Yeah,
he's
he's
up
just
there,
like
isn't he?
he's like a maniac, just the way he attack things.
Tasmanian Devil, I
I
think.
love watching him. Like he's class to watch him, just the way he does it.
Yeah. And Kyle, is Kyle going this year?
Nah,
Do you not know?
nah. I think he's just had a bit of a bad year just with training and stuff. He's kind of getting back to himself now.
Yeah.
But he would have been good events for him as well, with the log and stuff too, and the stones and all.
I only met sort of Kyle properly at Europe's, but this lad seems a nice lad.
Yeah, yeah, he's 100%. Everyone loves Kyle.
Yeah.
Just one of those guys. The taxman.
Right, well, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate taking the time.
Thanks for
No worries, and I wish you all the best in the future.
you too, man. I'm sure we'll bump into each other along the way then if you're going to be competing again. I know.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Right, thanks a lot, Gav. Just hang on after this, and we'll.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice one, mate.